How to kill triple BIOVORES. Now, recently, we have been talking a little bit about BIOVORES, and I think I found a pretty good clip that shows exactly what you need as far as, a really good build to take out something as problematic as a triple BIOVORE. Now, this is just a really good clip. If you're expecting to jump into this video to really understand how to take out a triple BIOVORE spawn, the one piece of advice I have for you is to make sure you have the strongest gear possible. Area of effect damage is pretty good. Go for stuns like plasmas, or even, definitely save your grenades for them. But you also just have to make sure you time, your big damage moments correctly. And this is actually going to be a good clip to show those moments. But this build specifically is a Bulwark build that I have ran recently. It is purity of purpose with the shocking effect, also with some great sword play here, because we do see a power sword. And yeah, this player is really good. His name is Specialist Compote or something. He posted this on the Space Marine Reddit a couple days ago, and I thought this was a great clip, considering one that we've been kind of criticizing BIOVORES and Spore Mines recently, but for people who hate BIOVORES and Spore Mines, this is a great clip to just kind of see somebody take out triple BIOVORES in a way that seems so demeaning to the BIOVORES. They practically did not have a chance, so this is a really good clip. Definitely wanted to show this off. I have used this build before, I just didn't know it was this powerful. Okay, so we do have a Bulwark here. It looks like they are using the heavy bolt pistol, I hope they are. Yep, 1, 2, 3 BIOVORES. So he drops banner, and as you can see with the red electricity from the banner, you can see a little bit of it. This is purity of purpose. He goes for the parry. I'm curious to see if he had aura or not, but I don't think so. Then, yes, that is a great parry into the BIOVORE right there, into the gunstrike. The things about the BIOVORES is you can notice how aggressive they basically jumped on this Bulwark very aggressively as soon as the Bulwark was within melee range. And they kind of had to do it for whatever reason. It feels like whenever you're within melee range for BIOVORES, they have to, use their claws at you. But hey, you know what? Regardless, he drops the banner. It has purity of purpose. And honestly, I think purity of purpose can take out Spore Mines, but I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, still, the BIOVORE goes for the melee attacks. They're not very interested in the Spore Mines. Boom, nice parry. Does the double parry, because yes, you really have to be a little bit patient with those BIOVORE attacks. Sometimes they can feint a little bit, but also, you really have to notice when they jump at you, Sometimes they raise their claws like they're going to melee attack you, but they're kind of just posturing. Oh, nice. Also, by the way, yes, we see the electricity right here, the blue electricity and the red electricity. So he has 2 layers of damage of effect, or area of effect damage. Also damage over time, I guess, because purity of purpose is damage over time, and then shock is also damage over time, but it obviously covers the entire area. But regardless, he definitely opens up this fight with a good parry into a gun strike, so he has some pretty good damage on this BIOVORE at the moment. He goes for the second BIOVORE with a nice charge attack, and not to mention he gets that last minute parry right there. That was very clean. So you can kind of see the BIOVORES kind of struggling here because they're getting hard parried. So I have to admit, this has to be a fencing power sword or something, because those parries are clean. And this is higher difficulties, as you can see, without the, there's no indication of what type of enemies are in the area. So also, yeah, I have to say, these gun strikes are going really, really hard against the BIOVORES. He already took one out. And see, here's the thing, if this banner is still up and these BIOVORES are in executionable status, if the banner is still up with purity of purpose, you can take out these BIOVORES with them. So you did see this one in the back here kind of drop when he was focusing the other 2 BIOVORES here. But he did get a nice power rake on that last BIOVORE. See, oh yes, actually in executionable status right now. But we see the banner, we see purity of purpose is still activated. The gun strikes are going incredibly hard against these BIOVORES, considering it is higher difficulties. The gun strikes are probably some of your best sources of damage, because in higher difficulties, gun strikes have a higher multiplier, so they do more damage on, basically on paper. The reason why is because they're also increasing the health of the enemies. But still, with that said, if gun strikes scale with difficulty, it's still going to be a really great thing to do in higher difficulties. And I know I don't have to sit here and tell you how good gun strikes are, but I'm just pointing out right now how the gun strikes are essentially taking out these BIOVORES without effort. He just really needs to get the parries and get the gun strikes. And yes, the BIOVORES go down. You can see really how aggressive the BIOVORES get when you are within melee range. So, to break this down, drop banner, get a parry to get your shock as well, and then now he has 2 layers of damage over time, area of effect damage. And then he's also a master at parrying, and he's able to get some melee attacks off, but as soon as he's getting some melee attacks off, the BIOVORES are seemingly trying to respond to that. BIOVORES, again, are very aggressive in melee range. So as soon as you're close to them, make sure you gun strike them. Boom. Now, if this was a blocking weapon, I am not 100% sure how this would have went down, but I would love to see triple BIOVORES versus a blocking weapon. If any of you guys are capable of pulling that off, feel free to share it. I will definitely keep an eye out for it. I know blocking weapons isn't the easiest thing to use, but I have to admit, this would be a very, very good comparison, because fencing right now against these BIOVORES, considering how often they are attacking and considering how hard the gun strikes are punishing them, I do think fencing's a really good, basically a really good melee type to have in this moment. Not to mention, though, he doesn't really have to worry too much about damage because he does have a difficulty scaling, area of effect damage over time, purity of purpose on the banner. So, yes, shout out to this player. They played this perfectly. That was a great clip to take out triple BIOVORES. Honestly, I hope you guys learned a little bit here. I kind of just was reassured with how strong purity of purpose and, an extra shock layer can be. And obviously, the power sword is a great fencing weapon. Power rake does damage. And gun strike also does damage. Triple BIOVORES are easy and fun. All you do is bend over and kiss this run goodbye. Yeah, that's that is basically how it goes for most people. And yes, whenever I see triple BIOVORES, depending on how we're playing as a team, most of the time I'm trying to avoid them. Just kidding. To be honest, as a Vanguard main who spends a lot of time on tactical, I don't find triple BIOVORES to be all that big of a deal as long as my Space Brothers immediately stop messing around and start burning one down. Ooh. Okay. I mean, you can pin them. You can always ping them, Make sure your team knows where they're at. But yeah, as soon as even one BIOVORE spawns, yeah, it's time to stop messing around and jump on that BIOVORE. Heavy bolt pistol, some spores, tack scan or grapple, or just running close. So anyways, start blasting. Melta always good. Carbine, aim for the gun or the ASS. What? Oh, okay, sorry, for some reason I thought that was an abbreviation for a weapon. I was like, wait, what weapon is that? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess regardless with the Melta, you should be able to stun them a little bit. I wonder if you get more stun damage from the, behind the BIOVORE. This is actually not this set. This is like the second time I heard somebody mention that the BIOVORES are weak from behind, so I don't know, take that for what it is. Dodge, melee attacks, and spores, miss parries, and blocks are punished more than usual, so don't complicate your life. Dodge around in a circular pattern if you can, and keep blasting. If you run out of ammo, see the steps posted above. Yeah, I hope you don't run out of ammo. Tactical and Vanguard, regardless, hey, you still have the options to get some nice parry and gun strikes there, and both those classes are also really, really good blocking weapon classes as well. Yeah, I mean, this is fair. This is some fair notes here. I kind of want to see somebody talk about the actual clip, though, but hey, you know what? I'll take any sort of BIOVORE advice or some BIOVORE strats. Why not? Frankly, this is just excellent Bulwark skills, high awareness, and management of multiple enemies. This type of Bulwark play will handle any extremist trio that doesn't fly. Of course, it's a Dark Angel. Oh, okay. I agree, obviously. That Bulwark was definitely playing really well there. But still, I still think Purity of Purpose right now is in a position that Bonds of Brotherhood was in, where Purity of Purpose doesn't really get the appreciation it gets for higher difficulties, and essentially, as soon as you get a team perk and Purity of Purpose with Bulwark and you're that good at parrying, you can definitely just jump into high difficulties to level up your Bulwark. Purity of Purpose is so good. It is so good. Honestly, the way he points out the flying weapons, the flying enemies, yeah, Purity of Purpose is not going to be good there. But any other mobs that jump into your banner as you have Purity of Purpose, and maybe even like Intimidating Aura, and maybe even the Shock Parry, you are just gonna take things out, and you won't even notice it. Purity of Purpose will kill things behind you. It is so good in higher difficulties. It's also good in regular difficulties, but everything is good in regular difficulties. Purity of Purpose, I'm pretty sure difficulty scales, and it's just so good. So definitely appreciate the Bulwark skills here. But Purity of Purpose is still a perk that I feel like too many people are underestimating, and I just think it's a very, very strong perk. Now I'm going to talk about how clean that power rake into the parry looked. I've played a ton of Absolute Bulwark prestiging and never pulled something like that as smooth as that. Okay, great work, brother. Okay, yeah, that power rake definitely... Honestly, the power rake is so good right now, too. Bulwark is very strong. I seen somebody comment about my tier list, and they asked me if I still would have the way, I have it listed. Basically, Sniper, Bulwark. It was like Sniper, Bulwark, Vanguard, Tactical, Heavy, Assault. That was top from bottom. Honestly, I think Sniper is really good right now, but Bulwark does feel really, really good right now. See, the thing here is, Sniper is going to be really good to take out the zone throps, but do you think Sniper's taking out triple BIOVORES like we just saw? You know what I mean? And this is Bulwark potentially using the weakest melee weapon. And yes, and then we have a comment here mentioning how clean that power rake was, which they're right about. That power rake was great. That power rake into the parry was great, and power rake honestly is just a very good very good move. Not to mention, yes, the power sword is a good weapon now, so it's kind of nice to see that like every melee weapon is pretty impactful. I played a ton of Absolute Bulwark and never pulled something as smooth as that. Yeah, that was smooth. Definitely good. But yeah, I just want to reiterate the Purity of Purpose and the shock area effect damage, definitely good. Gun strike damage scales with higher difficulties, so getting a lot of gun strikes on BIOVORES is definitely a good way to take them out. We didn't see any grenade in that clip, I think, which is kind of interesting. And I do think, now, we all know spore mines are kind of an issue, but I do think just showing off ways that we can just bully the BIOVORE is just going to be overall really good for how people approach that. Because I do think now, hopefully, maybe one person watching this understands how aggressive the BIOVORES can be at melee range now. However, regardless, I do think those BIOVORES were unsentryed. So I'm pretty sure sentryed BIOVORES, the ones, when BIOVORES stick their claws into the ground, those BIOVORES are unlikely to melee you. So when you see a BIOVORE who's just kind of moving around, try to get close to them, try to shoot them a little bit, try to aggro them into meleeing you, get the parry, get the gun strike, and you're in for a good time. BIOVORES can be fun, I think. It's just spore mines are just really annoying to deal with. But honestly, I think BIOVORES can be fun to fight, and this was a great clip. Also, I would still love to see somebody tackle on triple BIOVORES with a block weapon as cleanly and as fast as we've seen that. That was a great clip. Definitely let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts about Bulwark potentially being the strongest class right now, because I have to admit, taking out those triple BIOVORES like that, I don't know if Sniper could have pulled that off. But regardless, thanks for watching.